episode, and a lot of setup, and not like boring, slow setup, but like, hey, this is what this person is, and that's their role, and how deep is this conspiracy, in the Federation? Is it just, on the surface, or is it, real deep rooted, which apparently we find out that it is pretty deep rooted. I needed all this information, and now I think that I'm in the right headspace for this show. And like I said, I owe it to episode 2, so I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, so yeah, just to just kind of build on that, I thought all the exposition that we got was indeed necessary, but I also think it was presented in a really good way. Like, it was presented in a way that the episode really flowed very smoothly for me. I didn't feel like it was clunky, or I didn't feel like it was weighed down. There is a good amount of technobabble in this episode, as there is in a lot of Star Trek, especially between Laris and Picard.
How did you feel about it? Did you like it?
Well, I love technobabble. I love technobabble, but yeah, we'll get into all the technobabble here. So our episode overall, of course, we all enjoyed the episode very much. We're going to break it down. I know we've all got questions and theories to talk about. And of course, this should probably go without being said, but just as a reminder, this is a spoiler-filled review. We will be spoiling everything that happens here. So if you haven't watched this episode, I don't know why you're listening. Turn this off. Go watch the episode and then come back and listen to this. All right. So, opening scene, we see a fleet of ships over Mars. It's first contact day, which is April 5th, by the way, everybody. That's the day the Vulcans came by and saw the warp drive being tested by Zefram Cochrane. It's the year is 2385, so it's 14 years before Picard takes place. And we're here at the shipyards of Utopia Planitia. So we're hearing like all these routine announcements about shift changes and report to this room for duty training and whatever. I have to say, I really liked this opening scene because it kind of shows us people outside of Starfleet living everyday lives in the Federation. So you know how like sometimes like you'll watch Star Trek and everybody's on a starship and everybody's super happy and everybody loves to be, but this is like regular everyday working Joes in the Federation, and they're talking about the same stuff that like we talk about. How come I didn't get today off? How come the other people got today off? Why do I have to work on the holiday? And I just they're in the break room complaining about the food and what did you do last night? Nothing. I really kind of liked this, to see people acting differently.
Rebecca, can I say something real quick?
Of course.
I found these people so goofy, though. Like, I understand they were doing exactly what you just said. They were trying to show like not this stiff collar representation that we normally see people that are in Starfleet or whatever walking around doing their jobs. They're just the working people. But I found them so goofy to the point where when the android F8, is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, F8 started to do his thing. I was almost happy. Like, I felt like they were putting them out of their misery. Maybe that's a little cruel. I mean, even when I watched the short, the Children of Mars, and about how goofy the parents were to the kids, with their tongue sticking out and all that. And I was like, man, they are having a really laid back time there on Planitia.
Okay.
Just a thought.
What was your take on that, Brooke? Did you particularly care for this part, or did you find it kind of goofy, more like Steventon?
No, I mean, it was fine. It was a little slice of life from just regular future people. I don't know why the one guy was telling F8 jokes, because he's not gonna get it. He's an android.
Right. I know. What's brown and sticky? A stick? Like,
yeah. It was like not even worthy enough to be called a dad joke. It was terrible. But you know, like we got to see them, you know, doing their thing, and then hearing the one lady like going off about how she doesn't like the androids and stuff, and they're creepy. And I honestly, part of me is like, hey, you know, they talk to us. It's almost like having a puppy or something. Like, you don't necessarily want to hurt the puppy either, but like, also they're creepy because they're sort of human but not quite human. You know. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brooke, why do you think they would design them as creepy as they are? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand why it's like that for the show, for us, but like, if this was real life, why would they design something that looked like that? Like, it's off-putting, and of course there's going to be like racism towards them. Mm-hmm. I mean, look what you did, what you made them look like. You know what I mean?
That poor actor. No, I'm kidding. You're just going off about how terribly. No, I'm kidding. Also, I was thinking about how he was F8, and that's fate, if you say it. And then I was like, oh, it's almost like one of those Dr. Soong names. Mm-hmm. You know?
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. I didn't even notice that.
It kind of is. Like with B4, it's F8, fate.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I thought what was interesting was exactly, so when you go back and watch Measure of a Man, right, the TNG episode from season 2 that we covered, this is exactly what Guinan was talking about with Captain Picard. You have a whole race of disposable people that can just do the grunt work. Now, granted, these androids, I don't know if they were sentient. They didn't seem to be. If I had to guess, I would guess that they weren't.
Right.
But the way that people talked about them, like when she said, "Oh, that guy, that dude creeps me out," and the other woman says, "Hey, he can hear you," and she's like, "So what?"
Yeah.
And it's like, well, he's not a real person, so I could just say whatever I want about him. Well, and I was just like, this is exactly what Guinan was talking about.
I feel like what I don't understand is why make them look humanoid? Why not just have them look like robots? You know what I mean? If essentially that's what they are. Is it just to put people at ease? You know,
which obviously didn't work.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the idea was to make them look humanoid to just make, you know, people feel more comfortable around them.
Yeah,
I mean, but at that point,
Uncanny Valley, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. No, I get it. Or even in the beginning when that guy opens up the room and he says, "Good morning, plastic people." Right. And they say, "Good morning, Mr. Pinkett," and it's like all in unison, and they're just all like lined up in a row in that room. But so of course, you know, things go wrong. Everyone's eating their space pineapples, as they said, and F8
space pineapples. I thought that was great.
That was hilarious, space pineapples. So and then F8, something clicks off in his brain because his eyes go all wonky. He goes to a panel, starts messing with it in his android super speed, and basically they completely disable, because it's not just him, right? We hear all these announcements that there was multiple labor units have been compromised, and then they basically bring down the deflector shield, and he kills everybody in that room. He kills the security guards who burst in trying to stop him. We see on the view screen those ships that we saw in orbit are attacking the shipyards. There's an order given that everyone should evacuate, but that's probably no one got out, I would imagine. And then F8 destroys himself. And that's our opening scene. Like, and then we get the credits and stuff. But this was all exposition or backstory of what happened at the shipyards. So there was a short Trek episode that was available. I know both of you got a chance to watch it. It's Children of Mars, which is a tie-in to this story of what happened. And if you haven't seen that short Trek, you might want to skip ahead a couple minutes because we are going to talk about it. So in that short trek, we follow the story of two young girls who are at school, and both of these girls have a parent that works at the shipyards, and the story is about how these two girls are basically having a fight in school. One shoves the other one, and then the other one, she misses the transport to school, and then they both see on the news how this attack happens, and then it really bonds these two girls because they've each lost a parent. What did you guys think of that short trek episode, and how it ties into this Picard series?
I thought it was a cool, view of it behind the scenes. Like, we got a little bit of the behind the scenes, like you said, slice of life on the plant. And then this is even further than that. This is, the families of the people that are on there. And, I've seen a couple of these shorts now, and there's always like a little lesson that's in there, almost like one of those G.I. Joe things from when we were kids, and the lesson here was obviously like, we're fighting each other, but there's greater things that we need to worry about, and we both just lost our parents, and we should be united instead of fighting. But I really did think it was a cool little window into the larger world, the larger universe that is Star Trek.
How about you, Brooke?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I don't know if I really sounded like her. I was trying, though.
Okay, sorry. No, I hit the wrong thing. I hit the video thing, and then it's like, what are you doing? No, I liked this. When the first girl runs into the other girl, like, it's probably, like, kind of an accident, but kind of not, and the other girl pushes her in class, and it's like, that's how things get started whenever kids are in school, because everybody's got their own things going on in their head, and they would look like they were probably like in middle school or whatever. And it was interesting to see, hey, we think that even though all these cool things will be in the future, people are still going to be people. And and they're just kind of like mad at each other, and then when the thing that brings them together is because both of them had parents that were on Mars, and like Stephen was saying, it's like, it's kind of a lesson to learn that there's other bigger things, but also I think it's to show that even though we think that we're different, that we can be more alike. They're just human, and they have worries and fears, and they're sad about their own parents. Like, they actually have things in common, even though they seem like they weren't really friends or anything, because they were kind of different types of people. And it's sad that a tragedy is what has to bring people together.
Right. Yeah, to me, it almost seemed like the two girls were like frenemies.
Yeah.
Like that would have this ongoing, almost rivalry between them. And because these short treks are like a slice of life, there's not like a lot of backstory, but it's really just kind of dropping you into somebody's life for a few minutes. I like that. I like that it's just, they really are almost like short films, like short episodes. And I liked the choice to have very limited dialogue and just have them playing that song, We Can Be Heroes. Like, I really... I enjoyed the choice. I liked it a lot. It, for me, at the end, like when the two girls are watching this tragedy unfold, like on instant news, and they both kind of just held each other's hands, like the argument between them was immediately healed. I got teary-eyed because it was emotional. I didn't need a huge backstory to feel sorry for these girls or feel sad for them. And I like that it tied in directly with the story of Picard. We've heard about this attack, and now we kind of get to see how it affected people having to watch this unfold. Definitely check out those short treks on CBS All Access. I particularly enjoyed the one about tribbles. If you haven't seen any of them, maybe start with that one. It's pretty funny.
That's the only one I watched was the Children of Mars or whatever, so I need to go back and watch some more. Yeah, the one with tribbles has a comedian who's in it, H. John Benjamin. Yes!
He does a lot of... You know who he is, right? Yeah.
He does a lot of Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, he's Bob from Bob's Burgers, and He's does voices in Archer. So yeah, if you know who he is.
And he's doing the Arby's commercials. I mean, he does other voices on Bob's Burgers too. But he's the lead character of both of those shows.
I thoroughly enjoy him on Bob's Burgers. So yeah, definitely check out.
Have you guys ever seen Assy McGee?
Oh yes,
yes.
It's so